You're a road maintenance worker in 1935, and life's pretty good. Scooping up manure so people don't detour on the way to pick up liquor. Oh. With most of your problems being poop related, you're excited when these horseless carriages come around. Your boss hands you the task of working out exactly what's going on with these so-called traffic jams. So you head to a local street that has been reported to jam up from time to time and start collecting data like a good engineer. You could try counting total vehicles, although when observing the road, you notice that bigger vehicles take up far more space than smaller vehicles, and you don't think they should be counted evenly. You eventually stumble on this measure you call density. You calculate it by taking the total length of the road segment and you add up the length of each vehicle on that segment. After looking at various road segments, you decide that this measure is pretty good. So you start plotting the density of the road at a time against its speed at a given time. Realizing that there exists a tool for finding the relationship between data, you decide to plot them all on a scatter plot and, look at that. It's almost like, yep, that's it. It's a straight line. You present your results to your boss, who is obviously incredibly grateful, and you retire to your desk to work out exactly why on earth this series would be linear. In some sense, it's not too surprising. You expect that at times with low density, the speeds will be high, and as the density increases, you expect the velocity of each vehicle to decrease. But this doesn't account for the fact that this line is straight. I mean, there are tons of ways of creating what the nerds call a monotonically decreasing function, and yet we've somehow ended up at the simplest option. So you decided to wait around for about 80 years for computers to catch up so that you can start modeling this system and actually understand what's going on. A 3-lane road seems about sensible. You'll have cars driving towards the right, and all the cars have the ability to merge lanes at various nodes along the road. To avoid having two cars literally drive on top of each other, which we know would be impossible, you rate limit each of these nodes such that whenever the car approaches it soon after another one, the car slows down. If you put enough merging points along the road, you'll eventually have a simulation very similar to what a real road would be like. Okay, the basics are implemented, but we still have a ton to do to see anything that looks like real-world conditions. I mean, we still got driver reaction time, acceleration, different vehicle sizes, on-off ramps, and the list goes on and on and on. But let's have a look at results anyway, just because we can. What? You're telling me this is already a straight line? But this is barely even anything to do with a real world scenario. This doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. Trying to make sense of these results, you think, okay, let's make the most simple model possible. If you're looking for a simple model, you should really try a cellular automata. Oh shoot, I forgot saying that someone's in. Psst, get out, scam. Really simple rules. Look over there, someone's doing physics with differential equations. After a bit of Googling, you understand that cellular automata consists of a grid of cells, which are all updated according to some specific rules. So here in this case, you can see that the updating rule moves every cell to the left. You decide on the rule, but each cell will pick one cell on its left to move to. If that cell is already occupied, the cell will not move. At this point, you're wondering where the hell are even cars even close to related to this system. This is just a bunch of cells moving in a grid. You plot the speed of these cells against the density of cells in this grid, and what a surprise, you get a straight line. What kind of is a surprise? Because it seems like we've uncovered a fundamental law here today. That is, that things moving through a constrained space seem to follow a linear relation between the number of things you try to shove through that space and the velocity at which they travel. So all excited, you go to a smart person convention and start lecturing them all about this great law about how to predict things and what about air in pipes? What? Here, let me explain. No, what are you doing? Air in pipes has been shown to go with a square root of the pressure. Even if we were to try to force an analogy to your elementary system, you can see that the more particles increases the rate, not decreases.
You're not just wrong, you're stupid.
Now wait just a minute.
Get him. Having barely escaped with your life, you decide you need to get to the bottom of this, because why on earth would this rule be so robust in everything you simulate and everything you do, but just not happen in certain times? So to find out exactly where you went wrong in all of this, you start listing out your assumptions. So first, both systems operate in a steady state. That's fair enough, that is a similarity. Both systems maintain continuity. Vehicles aren't magically created in a road, and air particles aren't magically created in a pipe. But when you get to the third one, where energy and momentum is not conserved, and this is where it seems so obvious what you did wrong. In all the systems we simulated, particles or vehicles or whatever unit would stop and wait for a gap. It would not bounce off the next particle like an air particle would. And after doing some further research, you start to discover that systems with conserved energy and momentum also have the similar robustness, where it doesn't seem to matter how you simulate them, as long as you have these few basic assumptions and laws in place, they all tend to act similarly. So what can we learn from this whole experience? Some of us might think that we should always check our assumptions, and while it's never a bad option, I don't think that's the main lesson here. I think there is a deeper truth. Systems can often be defined very simply, and you can liberate yourself from worrying about very frivolous details if you get the fundamentals of the systems right. You should define your systems in the most computationally reducible way. But we've also distracted ourselves here. I mean, what we were really looking for was a solution to traffic. And I think we've discovered it. All we need is cars that when they collide, they conserve energy, and whose momentum is always conserved, so they never break. I guess we'll leave the implementation details to the engineer, but I think this is a very bright future ahead of us.